All right, welcome to Soul Hoops. This is our first ever episode. My name is Geoff Guerra. My co-hosts here with me are Ryan Hines and Mattias Green. Today we're going to be talking all things off-season, including the trade market, free agency moves, some of our winners and losers, and we should be in for a little treat here. All right, so we'll get started with Ryan here with his first winner of the off-season.
The first winner of the offseason, in my opinion, has got to be the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, I think what was big for the Lakers heading into this offseason was just having some continuity for once, season to season. It seems like they're always, or doesn't seem like, I mean, they have always gone for like the big swings every year, every summer, whether that be Russell Westbrook, Davis a few years ago, letting a bunch of guys walk after the bubble championship. I think they really needed to prioritize is bringing back the guys that got them to the conference finals, and they did just that and more.
Yeah.
I think bringing back Austin Reeves on 4-year,
54
million, 54.
54, yeah.
I think that was a steal. I was really
56,
shocked.
56.
56.
Yeah.
Still, I was really shocked that the Spurs or the Mavs or the Rockets, any team that had cap space to spend, I was surprised that they didn't try to make it like a run at Austin Reeves.
I was really surprised the Spurs didn't offer anything.
Yeah. Any of those guard needy teams with cap space, Utah, Spurs, clearly the Rockets, I think you can kind of eliminate that because I think they wanted to do the big spend, which we'll get to. But I think when you're looking at it, it was kind of those guard heavy teams. I was very surprised. Even the Pacers, because they paid Bruce Brown $20 million, and that could have been used, maybe split up. But I think they just got a really good vet guy that can play a bunch of roles for them. But
yeah, I think the Bruce Brown signing was the
yeah.
idea
I think
there.
I would like that better for them than Austin Reeves. But I agree. I think I was almost say that I'm proud of the Lakers for not having their name in all of the trade talks.
Didn't get greedy.
They didn't get greedy. I think when you look at it, you're looking at that front office and that ownership group, and I think they've kind of evaluated over the last few years, hey, we need to value these assets for once, and we need to make sure that we're keeping some continuity because after 2020, they traded away all of their guys for Westbrook, and we all know that went horribly. And then the next offseason, they let a bunch of guys walk because they signed a bunch of old guys. And they tried to rebuild, and then they made that big move at the trade deadline, getting Vando, Beasley, D'Lo, and then it worked well. And they
really good move.
Yeah, it was perfect. I mean, one protected first in 2028 for 3 rotational pieces, and cap relief.
Home run trade.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
I mean, for just Russell Westbrook in a first, they got 3 rotational pieces, and it allowed the rest of their roster that wasn't getting playing time to shine. So I really liked it. I agree. I think that when you look at that roster now, you can say going into the season, they have the expectation we are a championship contending team. We should be a top 2 to 3 team in the West. So.
Yeah, and they didn't just bring back their guys. I mean, adding Gabe Vincent, I think was great signing for them.
Huge.
And I love their. Yep, I love that one, and I love their draft too. I think they had a great draft. They got Jalen Hood-Schifino at 17, which a lot of people thought they might trade the pick for a role player, like a high-end role player, which I would have liked that either way. But that allows them to develop a guard behind the couple guys that they have. And they also got Maxwell Lewis at pick 40.
I really like Maxwell Lewis. That was
I love him too. I mean, he's a good basketball player. He's a sharpshooter. Not all there on both ends yet, but he can definitely progress that way. So
they have a bunch of young guys that are off the bench that are just giving them a chance to pop. They have Cam Reddish. I know he hasn't proven that he can really be a player yet, but then there's a chance. Again, Maxwell Lewis and the rookies. They have a bunch of guys that show scoring potential. One of them is bound to hit, in my opinion, for the bench.
Also, Torian Prince for a 1 year, $4.5 million deal.
$4.5 million. Yep.
that was news is hilarious.
Yeah,
great signing.
So, and they also, they took some bets on some young guys, and they've shown that they can develop these young guys. I mean, last year they brought in, D'Lo. And although D'Lo is a good player, I mean, he kind of rehabilitated his image and his career so far. I mean, he was looking shaky. There was some issues popping up, and Austin Reeves' development. Max Christie's going to be coming in next year. They took Hachimura, of course. Yeah. And I think a lot of that, which people don't really understand is Phil Handy is on that coaching staff, and he's one of the all-time great player developing coaches. So I think that's something you can definitely look to. That
they even added Jackson Hayes.
Yep, and even though Jackson Hayes he has potential up the world.
He has all the athletic tools you need. You just gotta, and he has looking skills.
I agree.
Hopefully they can put it together.
Yeah, I like the Lakers offseason a lot. So Mattias, you can get into your first winner then of free agency.
My winner is going to be the Mavs. I really, really like what they did. They didn't do a lot, but they did it really well. The Kyrie team-friendly deal, amazing. Mm-hmm. I believe it was just today or yesterday the Grant Williams sign and trade.
I love that for them.
Great deal.
Yeah, me too.
I believe it was Dwight Powell came back on a super friendly deal as well. It was like $4 million a year.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 or 3 years, $13 million. And I don't think it's fully guaranteed either. So I think that's great. I think they addressed the need. I think that it was a team that had the structural ability to be good. They have a top 5 player. They have another 100%. Co-star now that's a top 20 to 25-ish player. And that's usually a championship roster. But the problem is they traded away every single good role player to get that. But I think the ability for them, without giving up a lot of assets, to pretty much retool the entire roster in getting those role players is very impressive.
Really impressive. They also got Seth Curry on a $3 million a year deal as well. $4 million deal.
And amazing. You can go, Ryan.
Yeah, and Rashawn Holmes, I think, was also kind of a nice addition for them. Maybe he won't play a ton, but he wasn't playing at all for the Kings. And I think giving Luka another pick and roll option, I think could really help.
Yeah, and that trade, and also I loved how they moved around the draft. They had 10. I think everyone kind of penciled them in for Lively because he was a late lottery guy, and no one ahead of them was going to be taking him. And there's only one team behind them that was probably taking him, and that would have been the Pelicans. So they swap with OKC to move down to 12. They still get their guy. They generate some extra cap room by getting off what's his name? The center, the shooting. He's Bertans. They get off Bertans' contract, move down 2 picks, get a high upside player who can defend the rim. And then they also move around. They get Rashawn Holmes' contract. They bring in Rashawn Holmes later in the draft to trade up with the Kings for 25, which they brought in one of my guys, Max Prosper from Marquette, who is a super versatile wing. He can play defense, run the floor, which is all you really need with him. I mean,
I really like that move up for him.
Oh yeah, I loved it. I think when you've looked at the Mavs in the past, you've looked to their front office making questionable decisions with rosters and draft picks. And I think this year they realigned themselves, which is kind of a common theme around the league, is that a lot of these front offices kind of realign themselves with the issues that they've had in the past. So, which is I've really enjoyed, watching that around the league. Also, Grant Williams. People clown at Grant Williams for the antics, dressing up like Batman, which is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
No, he's great. He's one of the greatest characters in the league.
Yeah, for real. And his horrible CBA agreement, but we'll get past that.
There was no choice. There was no bargaining.
We'll blame CJ. We'll blame CJ McCollum.
No, I can't blame CJ.
But but like people are looking at, he's a great shooter, not a great shooter. He's a good shooter. He can space the floor. He can kind of guard 3 through 5. He's sweet. He can.
Yeah, he's got that build, like big body, good size. That's kind of what you want for like a really switchable defender.
Yeah, I loved the move. I thought it was great. Anything else you guys are saying about that?
Type.
Yeah, they replaced DFS with a better. In my opinion, I think DFS might be a better defender, more versatile. But I think Grant Williams' ability to play on offense in a catch and shoot role is a little bit higher, and I think that's
100%.
I like the way he can work the corner is way.
Way
better.
We saw that. Was it Game 6 or 7 of the Bucks series last year?
7 and 22. He hit like 7 threes, and that's because of Bud's scheme. But
he still hit them even when.
Exactly. You have to. Even if you give him the shots, you still got to hit them. So, which we'll probably talk about the Bucks changes some other time. So then for my winner, I have the Memphis Grizzlies. I think like what I was saying earlier about front offices realigning their mentality and their team in the correct direction. I think you can look at Memphis and say that that's exactly what they did. They made the trade for Marcus Smart, which they overpaid, but they have a lot. I think they maybe get 2 first-round picks isn't too bad compared to the rest of the trade market this offseason. I think it's a lot, but I think they needed it. It's a grit and grind guy that's been the Memphis culture. And he's also a great locker room guy. They traded away Mattias, I think, which he didn't want to be there. He kind of requested out quietly. So that was that. But then and they also brought in Derrick Rose to be on the bench, which I don't think he'll get much run, but it's another vet guy. I think you can look at that and say they made moves to realign their culture, center their franchise, make sure that everything's taken care of. So
they also made that Josh Christopher move, correct?
Yes. They got Josh Christopher from Houston because I think we're going to be talking about Houston a little bit here, but I don't think they had a lot of moves to make. I just think they did, and they also got Gigi Jackson at pick 50 something, 18-year-old reclassified, was as a bucket getter. He was very inefficient in college, but the upside on that is
supposed to come in the league next year, correct?
Oh yeah, he was he should have been in college, starting college this fall. But he reclassified and he went to South Carolina in a really bad team so he could go show out, and it didn't work out for him. So and he was projected first-round pick. I think he just fell because people got scared of the tendencies.
Yeah. We should talk about that Isaiah Todd trade that just happened.
Yeah.
So did they really overpay?
So about a minute and a half before we started recording, the Memphis Grizzlies actually made a trade here. So per Woj, the Grizzlies sent 3 second-round picks to the Phoenix Suns for 2 first-round pick swaps in 2024 and 2030. So they gave up their right to swap because with either Brooklyn, I think, or the Wizards or something. I think Brooklyn or the Wizards. So officially, they were the second round picks, that they gave up were the 2025 second via the Pelicans, and then Memphis's own 28, 28, and 2029 second round picks. And then Woj just tweeted out in 2024 and 2030, Memphis will now own the right to swap its own first for the lesser of the Suns/Wizards first. So they get to swap with the worst pick between the Suns and Wizards, which will most likely be the Suns pick, but you never know because KD's like 35 and their roster is super shallow.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, in 24, it'll probably be the Suns pick. 2030.
2030, you never know. So officially, the Suns have traded the Wizards 6 future second-round picks in the Bradley Beal trade. This starts to replenish those losses because second-round picks, I don't know if you guys are big into the CBA reading, but second-round picks can now be signed to longer contracts. So they can be signed
and they don't hit the MLE, right?
Yep. So they don't affect the MLE, and they can get they can sign to 4-year limited deals. So that'll help those contending teams. So I don't think you'll see many of those second round picks getting flown around by contenders. All right. Ryan, you want to go into your loser of the offseason?
Yeah. So, how much can they really lose? But it is the Nuggets. I they just won the championship, right? So, I don't think they're losing that much sleep over it, but I think they took some steps back this offseason. Losing Bruce Brown, I think we kind of knew it was going to happen just because what they were going to be able to offer Bruce compared to what he was going to get on the open market just wasn't going to ever line up. But, still losing him sucks. I thought Denver was actually a pretty thin team in the playoffs.
They had an 8 to 9 man rotation, but even then, Jeff Green and not a really high level rotational player.
Right. Yeah. I think their depth was a bit overrated most of the playoffs, and I think they took some steps back. They did lose Jeff Green, who I think, culture guy. Good player. They lost him for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And they re-signed Reggie Jackson for
they use their
$10 million.
They use their taxpayer mid-level on Reggie Jackson. I mean,
which is
that move alone is bizarre. I mean, Reggie Jackson.
They also brought back DeAndre Jordan.
Yep, which is fine. I mean, it's a vet min.
I like it.
It doesn't affect the cap, and he
That's
seems
fair.
like he likes Denver, and he seems like he gets around. So, but the Reggie Jackson thing was the biggest issue for me. I don't understand the purpose of doing that. What are you gaining from using your taxpayer mid-level on a shot-chucking guard who isn't good on defense? He was he didn't play.
He didn't play at all.
So what's the point of that? Let him walk.
Maybe he did it so you can coast in the regular season. That's the only way. Or it's a tradable contract.
They signed him that on the first day. I'm gonna pull up the transaction history. You guys keep going. I'm gonna pull up the transaction history from the first 2 days. And I'm gonna see if there's a guy for the taxpayer med level that would have been better for them.
They also signed Justin Holiday. I mean,
which is it's fine. So
they was end up rotation pickup.
Okay, so it was 10 years, $10.25 million, and on top of that, they also gave him a player option in the second year. It's not a team option.
You mean 2 years, $10.5 million?
I mean, do we know what Nas' contract was?
Nickeil Alexander-Walker?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Or not yet.
Yeah. It's out. It just wasn't reported by either Woj or Shams.
Okay.
Let me find that real quick.
Or like Shake Milton, sorry, went to the Timberwolves for 2 years, $10 million.
Yeah.
Do you think I feel like if you offered him the 2 years 10 and gave him the backup point guard role, the spot's open. The backup point guard spot is completely open in Denver. Yeah. You can promise him a contending roster spot at the same price.
Yeah,
maybe Reggie's just a good locker room presence.
I mean,
maybe, there for the
but he was only there for like 3 months, right? I mean,
maybe it was a good 3 months, man.
Maybe it was.
Maybe it was. I'm not. I don't know.
So for the record, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, got 2 years, $9 million.
Yeah, I would have rather if I could try. Obviously, when you speak in this, it's like, oh, I would have just signed him for the same amount. But it's like, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a young player, 6'6" guard, can defend, can handle the ball a little bit, and can score at an okay rate. Like, I think that would have been a better bet to make than if you can get a guy like that. I can't really hate them too much. I mean, they won the championship with a very thin roster. I think they're really betting on jumps from Christian Brown, Peyton Watson to play those wing roles and the backup shooting guard kind of Bruce Brown role. But even then, I don't think Christian Brown is as strong on the offensive side as Bruce Brown was. And I don't think Peyton Watson can't play offense right now.
He's not ready yet. And I think Christian Brown, for as good as that one game in the finals was, I don't remember exactly which it was, but
it was like game 3, I think.
Game 3.
Game 2.
I feel like he also had a lot of times where he was just not that good out there at all. And it was very obvious that Christian Brown was the weakest link in the floor. And I mean,
he's a good defender. He's a good defender with a winning pedigree that has good basketball IQ. I just think when you're betting too much on a young player like that taking the next step, I think you pigeonhole yourself.
Yeah, but the one thing about having a high IQ player like that is that he's a really good cutter.
Yeah,
and
they have
the most valuable thing to have on the Nuggets is have high IQ cutters.
Yeah,
and he's a very, very high IQ off-ball player.
Oh, I agree.
And that's why he will succeed. I think he's going to improve a lot next year. I think he'll step into it. I don't know if he'll be Bruce Brown level, but I think he'll step into a big role next year. I hope.
Yeah, I mean, are the Nuggets still the championship favorite? I think you can make that case, but I don't really like their offseason. I think they took some steps back.
I low-key, if they didn't I low-key think the Lakers might have a better roster than them going into
really?
No.
Yeah, I got to see it to believe it. I don't know.
Obviously, you have to
Jamal
see
Murray's
it. I would
probably improve or come back.
Oh, yeah.
You got to think about Michael Porter Jr.
No, I'm not saying for sure, but I don't think that if that depth, and the problem is too is obviously you're never saying that this is going to happen, but Nuggets have also had multiple players on the roster with injury history over the last few years. I mean, if Michael Porter Jr. goes down for some time with maybe a back spasm, or Jamal Murray's knee starts to give soreness, and they're like, all right, we need to rest you for the playoffs. Do you trust
Reggie Jackson
to come in and run as the guard, because also we know that.
Hey, we saw him do that at LA. I trust him.
And it was horrible to watch. But I think when you're looking at that, it's like, hopefully they can, but I wouldn't bet on them. I would bet on them being the best team in the West again if I had to make a bet of the favorite.
Yeah,
but I think you're really playing the edges there with how far that scheme and Jokic is going to be able to take you at the beginning of the, because it could get a bit bad really fast, because bench players aren't immune to injury too.
That's true, but I don't know. I just feel like Jokic is the easiest player.
Oh, yeah.
Scheme for.
Yeah, I mean, he's carried garbage teams to 6 seeds before. If he has one or two of his guys, he'll be fine. All right. Mattias, you want to do your loser? I believe you had.
I went with Toronto. I was in between a couple teams, but I went with Toronto. Mainly because they stuck with what they had. And they replaced Fred VanVleet with Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah.
And I don't know how Grady Dick's going to fit necessarily in that roster. I get he's a shooter, but they don't have a playmaker, really. Scotty projects as a pretty solid, good playmaker. But other than that, they don't really have someone I trust to be the primary on the team. They don't. Mm-hmm. And the best one they had was probably VanVleet, and he's gone.
Yeah.
And
I just don't. He was not moving the ball like that.
No, he wasn't. And I think they were a team that needed to make a move and either get rid of. I guess they did get rid of VanVleet, which was good. But past that, they need to make another move to get more young talent and not try to be a mid-play-in, borderline 6-seed team or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's time to move on from Pascal.
Yeah, I agree. They needed a slight youth movement.
I mean, and here's the thing. I think the same thing. I think the real problem is, though, what do you gain from letting – obviously, Freddie – I'm going to get to Houston in a second here. But, Houston. What do you gain from letting Freddie walk? Obviously, that bag was crazy. But, if your plan is to still compete here, what do you gain from letting your second or third best player walk?
Nothing.
Or not even trying to replace him. They didn't even try to – I mean, cap relief?
They got Dennis Schroeder to replace him, but it's not going to be the same at all.
No, and that's a bad contract in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was it, 2 years, $14 million?
No, I think it was $320 or something like that. Or maybe it was $214.
$214? Yeah, why? I think the same thing. I think it's one of those teams as similar to how the Bulls are, where it's just like they don't have this direction. It's just the direction doesn't make any sense. They're like the reverse Bulls. They have these couple young players that are really good, can be really good. And they have these vet guys that are pretty good. And it's but we're still gonna try to compete.
The shorter contract was 2 years, $25 million. That's 12 and a half a year. It was even worse than we thought. It was almost 14 a year.
Goodness. Yeah. I don't see the point.
No.
I don't know.
Scoot was on the table for Pascal. That's a high-level playmaker to pair with.
Oh yeah,
Scotty.
I mean, if those reports are true, pick swap with Portland for 3 and 14 or 13,
23.
Yeah, and would they have not given up their lottery pick to move up?
Oh no. We would have given them 23 probably, but they probably would have swapped up to 12, so we probably would have gotten Dick.
Yeah,
or somewhere around there.
Yeah, so
they still would have gotten Chris Murray or someone along the lines of that.
Oh yeah, would have been way better for them, especially too if you can maybe throw in if you
re-sign Jakob so then if you re-sign Jakob Poeltl, then that fits with Scotty Murray.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I think this is the problem with the Raptors. The direction just doesn't make sense in my head. It's just I don't know. I'm very anti. I think most NBA fans are, but I'm very anti double timeline rosters. It just doesn't work unless you have super project players.
I've been dealing with that.
Yeah, of course. We'll begin into that.
Sometimes there's it's okay with one player.
Yeah.
One or two, but when you have a full bench or you're trying to mix starting a bench with 4 or 5
that's why
guys in there.
That's why the Warriors weren't good last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think the Raptors are stubborn. I think it's been well documented that Masai Ujiri is hard to make deals with. He's a stubborn guy, a stubborn team. I I agree with you, Mattias, that I think they were for sure losers. With everything that was said, I really don't get it at all.
Yeah. I really don't. I just don't get what the purpose is between a lot of the stuff they're doing. I mean, realistically, it's like if you have some cap, I mean, if you want to throw money to dish it. And the problem is Toronto free agents don't want to move to Canada at the end of the day, a lot of them. I mean, it's just what it is. But that's why you need to trade. You have to trade for draft picks. Like if they want to build back to a contending level roster, you have to trade for draft picks. It's the only way to do it. All right. Well, I will get into my loser, and this might be a little controversial one, but I'm gonna put my loser as the Boston Celtics. So I'm gonna start this little discussion about Boston in a very mannered way. Okay, so Boston, when you look at it on paper, they upgrade their 4 spot or /5 spot with Kristaps Porzingis, who is, in my eyes, a high-level floor stretcher. He is a very good defender. He can protect the rim. He plays drop coverage well. And then you also, let me see. Let me go through their full transaction history here. They got O'Shai Brissett.
Lost Grant
Williams. Traded away Marcus Smart for a first-round pick this year and next year. They do anything else? I don't think they did anything else. And they extended Kristaps, which is good, because if you made that trade and he does not extend and he walks at the end of the year,
that's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. Your team is infinitely worse. What I really think this problem comes down to is there has been a very loud rumbling between NBA players, agents, and the media that a lot of players don't like Boston as a whole. And I think when you start trading away players who are very committed to your city and to your franchise and to your fans and to the other players on the roster, I think that rubs people the wrong way. That are in the organization, like Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart was drafted by them. He won a Defense Player of the Year with them. He seems to be the both off the court and on the court leader of that team. He's very active in the community from what I see. He has played through all the last 2 regimes completely with multiple stars.
Yeah, he's been there through the 2.
He was there during with Isaiah. He was then there with the Kyrie and Gordon Hayward whole debacle.
Kemba Walker.
All of it. He's been through all that, and he has been a vocal person about those situations and trying to get things resolved and keep the team in track into contention. He played in an NBA Finals. He's played in 5 or 6 Eastern Conference Finals with the team. And I just think when you start doing things like that, I think if the Celtics made no moves or maybe upgraded a few positions, I think you still could say that they're the best or second best roster in the NBA, top to bottom. But when you start moving these pieces around, and I think this is just from an overall cultural standpoint within the organization that makes them losers, not necessarily the on-the-court basketball, because it's going to be an insane team to watch. I mean, Kristaps Porzingis, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I mean, Jaylen Brown's about to get a $300 million extension as well, which is a whole thing.
You think maybe come playoff time they won't be as cohesive or something, or you think they'll?
Yeah, I think the overall culture impact of the leadership. I mean, it's very. I think Jason Tatum gets overhated in regards to being a leader and what he's done in the playoffs. But I also think that it was very clear that there was someone who was in charge there. And I think
Smart was in charge. A lot of the clutch shots, a lot of the plays, Smart ended up with the ball.
Yeah, and with Smart too. I don't know. I think even on the court, for a team that has had playmaking struggles over the last few years, getting rid of the best playmaker on the team, I think it doesn't sit that right with me. I do worry about what's going to happen when the game gets tight or when it's time to close a game, because we've seen with this team,
it's time to get a stop.
When it's time to, they have some pretty serious struggles when it comes to just holding leads and closing out games. And I think, Derek White, I think, can do a lot of the same things that Marcus Smart can do, but I don't think he's as good of a playmaker. And Jason Tatum's a good playmaker too, but Yeah,
I just think see that Jason Tatum gets in the head.
They're okay playmakers.
He gets in his head sometimes. I think Jason Tatum could be a high level playmaker, but he gets in his head too. I mean, I think just the team as a whole. I think the system that they run with Joe Mazzulla, I think it just makes the players less reluctant to move the ball a lot of the time at the end of the game because it's a very analytics driven. D'Antoni style offense, not to the extent that Houston was running it because they don't have a James Harden all-time great playmaker and scorer, like top 5 playmaker and top 5 scorer type player. But I think it's just I just think from an overall cultural impact, when you look at these contending teams, especially Boston, who's already struggled with the situation with leadership and that has been the main issue between them, especially, except for the last 2 years. I mean, Kyrie, that was a problem. The Isaiah Thomas thing with trading him away after the injury and after his sister's death, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think it reflects poorly on how they're handling a lot of the locker room issues and clear flaws that have been popping up.
And with Porzingis too, I think they're going to be great next year. Probably, maybe even better than they were last year. But with Porzingis, what I will say is that he's hurt nearly every single year. And last year he was healthy, but he still only played around 60 games, which isn't even eligible for All NBA.
Which I think you could. I think you could attribute that to though. When I look at those teams that the Wizards at the end of last year, I think he just got sad at the end of the year. I think
probably did, and also defensively, he can really only play one style.
He's not. He can't play. He can't play switch.
He's not.
Boston loves drop though. Boston loves drop.
Oh they do love drop, but they also like to switch.
They like to switch in the end game, which is a problem because then you're going to have to move him down to the 5, and who's playing the 4 then for you? You don't have Grant Williams on the roster anymore.
JT, you go small.
JT's going to have to play the 4. I mean, JT's been playing the 4 the last few years.
A lot of this is just betting on.
But
JT.
then your then you have a guard problem again.
Derek White.
You're going to have Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon,
Pritchard is still
Jaylen Brown.
I like that. I like that.
It's no, I'm not saying it's going to be bad. They're going to be great. The fourth quarters are going to be fine. But I think when you start playing teams that are going to be locking in on that a little bit more, I mean, they have different coaches they got to go through now. I mean, Milwaukee has a new coach. Nick Nurse has moved to Philly. I mean, these contenders in the East,
you also have to realize another thing about the culture is that I believe Ime took a lot of the assistants from Boston to Houston with him. So they're losing some locker room presence with assistant coaches.
Yep, and it was already bad. It was already bad on the bench. The bench was bad last year. The assistant coach, Will Hardy, leaving for Utah was very bad for them. They hired Charles Lee, that was Budenholzer's right-hand man, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, they brought in some good coaches this offseason. I mean, last year with the whole Ime thing, they really only had
2 days.
They had 2 days before training camp to get a coaching staff
full
together.
Coaching staff.
That's really hard. That's really, really hard.
Because Ime had guys coming in, but I'm pretty sure they just didn't come because he got suspended.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So I didn't follow that too closely because it's just not in my time.
My thing with this whole Celtics offseason is I think a lot of it is just betting on Jason Tatum. It is.
Yeah, I mean, you have to.
You bet on Jason Tatum. You bet on him improving his playmaking and making those reads. You bet on him doing all that, playing the 4, being a better defender.
Yeah, and I think the problem is he's already so high level at everything he does. It's like, how much further can he go? He can. He has a. I mean, he's a 6'10" ball handler who can shoot from all over.
They're better on him becoming a top 5, top 3 player.
Which he has the ability to do. And that's what I think. That's the problem too, though. When you talk about the Celtics, I think a lot of the time when you start talking about them, you get labeled as like a Celtics hater. But it's like I'm not hating on the Celtics. I just think that there's a lot of the time where there's clear flaws that are just getting covered up by the ability that they have extra assets that they can kind of throw around. I think Brogdon last year was kind of like a Band-Aid on a bigger issue, and it turned out to be true. I mean, he kind of his arm got hurt, and then they was just over.
They have an abundance of talent that all kind of do the same thing.
Yeah,
they don't cover each other's holes, but they have enough talent that the holes don't really matter.
Yeah, so hopefully it's all good next year. I just think you're taking bets on things that the chances that that everything is going to work out perfectly to become like the best team in the NBA, which is that's their goal. I mean, obviously it's early in the offseason. They can make more moves, but you just got to hope that it keeps trending the right way. And I don't know how long that trend line can go, because they have gotten, if we're going to be honest, they've gotten very lucky with how their growth and development has been with these players. I mean, Jason Tatum's development has been just a straight exponential line up.
He's gotten better.
Eventually that's going to, it's not, I don't think it can stay exponential for like, you're never going to just go on forever. So, but I think that you look at it, they're probably the best team in the East. Milwaukee's a year older. They have some roster issues, but all right.
Marjan to the rescue.
Marjan to the rescue. This is a Marjan Beauchamp Stan podcast overall.
Awesome.
That'll be our guy. But yeah, I look forward to it. I think next season will be fun for the East, because there's some teams that are gonna have some drastic change, especially on the contending side, which we can loop into. James Harden opted into his player option and requested a trade late at night on his due date, which was, I think, kind of a last-minute decision on his camp side with him because of the Fred VanVleet to the Rockets news starting to pile up. I think they knew that we're not going to be able to get the $43 million contract to go play in Houston again.
Yeah, the Harden to the Rockets thing came to like a screeching halt, like
within like 2 days.
Yeah,
it was just done.
It felt like it was going to happen, and then all of a sudden it was like, no longer going to happen at all.
Yeah,
I feel like James Harden is kind of, they're both pigeonholed together. I don't think either team wants to be there.
Yeah. And it's clear that the only team that's really interested is the Clippers, which I like. I think that would be perfect. I mean, they've been missing a playmaking ball handler.
They've needed it for like 5 years.
But I think the problem is what are they going to be able to give up to the Sixers that doesn't derail what the Clippers are going to be trying to do?
They're going to gut their team, basically.
Which is just like, I just think it's weird. I think, honestly, I wouldn't be completely surprised if a couple weeks down the line, trade stock stall out and you get reports that the Sixers are going to play out he's going to play out the contract for the year.
I think that's what's going to happen, because you look at what the Clippers going to offer, and it's like Terrence Mann, Rocco, Norman Powell, whatever picks they have left, which
Brandon Boston, I guess.
Yeah,
just scratch.
Which they don't want to give up those cheap young players anymore because of the CBA. They need to keep them on the roster.
Exactly, they need them.
They do need him.
So I think
they're
actively shopping They're actively not shopping Norman Powell. We know that for sure. We've got multiple reports of that from Jake Fisher, I believe. He also reported yesterday that the Bucks might be interested because they're clearly looking for another guard. But yeah, so I think that was just an interesting one. I know that the Suns were initially on Harden's list. I think that screeched to a halt within an hour because they called around and said, who wants DeAndre Ayton? And everyone said no.
It's not happening.
I think the best bet for them, if they really wanted to move off Ayton, they needed to do it last offseason. They need to let him walk.
They could negotiated a sign trade with the Pacers or something.
Oh, they definitely. If the Pacers were actually serious about signing him, they would have given him Miles Turner.
Yeah, they could have negotiated something with him.
You could have got Miles Turner in like a second or 2 seconds, or Miles Turner in a first, even though I think Miles Turner is better than DeAndre Ayton at this point.
I agree.
Really?
I think DeAndre Ayton is a good player, but I think the mentality of his issues with needing touches all of the time and the inaggressiveness and on the offensive side when he's not getting his little post hook touches and his defensive lapses when the offense isn't going is just, it's like a way worse version than of like any other high level player. I think if Ayton was playing like he was in 2021, he's easily like a top 7 to 8 center in the league.
Yeah. And I think Miles Turner just has, I think, better, like more skills that I think you'd want your team, like 3-point shooting.
Especially the problem is also you can't, I think people say this a lot, but it's not really true. Separate the contract and the player. But when you're looking at it, it's like
Ayton's
30,
contract.
It's 30 something million.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think Ayton is a very, very good player that gets underrated. And I think with every big, like if you watch a lot of Pacers games, Miles Turner also has lapses like that. Every 7-footer big man is going to have lapses because it takes a lot to play. And they're going to – and the problem is Ayton came to this league to be a star.
Yeah.
And
he hasn't been that. And the franchise has clearly spoken that he's not.
But his touches have also been taken away. And I think
they're going to go down even more this year.
Yeah, they're going to go down more. And I'm hoping – I think he'll buy in as he matures.
Yeah, and hopefully.
Hopefully. But my thing is there's a reason Miles Turner has been in the Pacers on trade negotiations forever.
Yeah. But I think they've made a commitment that they want to keep him. I think he works really well with Halliburton, being able to shoot corner threes in transition and roll. All right.
Sorry, Ryan, were you going to say something?
Yeah, Ryan, did you have something to say about Ayton there? I saw you were going to
I was just going to say that I don't know how much he can really mature at this point. I think like he's going into year I think he's going into year 6. I don't know. I keep on going back and forth on Ayton in my head because like I see it, but I also there's just too many of the little things like are there where I feel like you just can't ignore it. I don't know. I'm all over the place with Ayton.
I will say he's only 24. He got a few more years till he hits his prime on the average in the NBA, so we'll see.
Even then, you look at it. I mean, if you're comparing him just to how we were talking with Miles Turner is only 27.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, the people do not know this, but the next topic is going to be Damian Lillard's trade request and the Blazers' ensuing moves around before and after. And Mattias here is actually a lifelong Portland Trail Blazers fan, die hard. So we're going to let him cook up his little rant regarding the front office, which we have fully seen spread through Twitter over the last few days.
Oh, God.
So we will leave the floor to you.
We'll start with the first day of free agency because everyone paid a lot of attention to the draft. We had a good draft. Great start to the offseason.
I really liked your draft.
Yeah.
I came into free agency with high hopes because I was like, we have good assets. I thought Chris Murray was a steal. I thought he had high value for his pick, and I thought Ryan Repair also had very high value for his pick. So I'm thinking, and picks, make a move, we keep Scoot. Good. Even if you overpay a little bit and you give up Nas or you give up even more picks, make something happen to please Dame.
Yeah.
First day of free agency hits, and Dame's, I would say, second favorite big to play with, like other than Nurk, the favorite bench big, Trent Wofford, gets waived.
Who's also your stan.
I'm a stan.
Yeah.
I love Trent Wofford. I love his game. He does everything.
Yeah.
He does everything. I think he was played out of position as a backup 5 because we lack size.
Yeah.
And
he's
I think
he's a 3-4 guy.
He's a 3-4 who can play small ball 5 if you ask him to.
Mm-hmm.
But he was on such a team-friendly deal, and I get it wasn't non-guaranteed and they want to save in the short term.
Yeah.
That's all cool if you're building around fucking Damian Lillard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
agree.
Also, when you're trying to build around Damian Lillard's contract, and if you look to the next move they made, overpaying slightly for Jeremy Grant.
Yeah.
If you look at market, it wasn't a terrible overpay.
It wasn't. It's not as bad of a deal as people are acting like it is.
Slight overpay. I'm okay.
I think he's worth probably in the neighborhood of 27 to 30 million. And I think when you give him 32 to 34 over the life, I don't think that's as bad as people. You have to overpay.
No, not at all.
And I think Jeremy will be fine next year too.
But when you have big contracts like that, you need small, good rotational players.
Yeah.
Dirt cheap production is what Trent Wofford was. And he had great chemistry with Dame, Anthony, and Shaedon Sharp.
Correct.
He was a great tertiary playmaker off the bench. He always made the right decisions. He was always in the right spot. It just financially doesn't make sense for either way. He's a great rebuilding piece. He's like, 21, 22? And he can contend now for
22.
cheap. Yeah, the dumbest thing ever. And then, so we overpay. Trent Wofford move was terrible. I'm thinking we have to be cooking something up with this Wofford thing. Making a move.
That wasn't the first day. That was the night before free agency.
Oh, it was the night before we waived
I think
him?
because in the morning
Grant.
Yeah, we'll get to it. I'll go through it.
So the night before Watford, whatever.
Yeah.
So we're all thinking, I'm thinking they're going to make a trade.
Yeah. Which I thought too. I was like, there's no way you don't open up a roster spot if you're not.
Yeah. You open up 2 roster spots. Maybe I was thinking they get 2 solid role players. They say Ant picks out. They get solid role players back. Yeah. That are veterans. That are rounded out.
I think there would have been teams that have been hammering home. I think if you call around and say, or put it out there, give a report to Woj, Anthony's available. And our asking price isn't huge. You want 2 to 3 good role players and a first. Which is an underpay, which is a complete underpay for Anthony Simons. People do not realize how good he is.
And that's why Joe Cronin going up saying, I've done all the stops. I've been in these fucking interviews. It's bullshit. He's just lying. And that's when we get into the second day of free agency, where I woke up the most angry I've ever been in my life. Dame requests a goddamn trade.
Chris Haynes
reasonably.
Bomb.
Chris Haynes.
Yes, the Haynes bomb. No.
And this is and also timeline. Jeremy Grant's extension came in. The legal tampering period started at 5 p.m. the night before on June 30th. So Jeremy signs his extension 2 hours. I think it was around 7 o'clock. Because I remember I was in a Twitter space with a bunch of people from online, and we only were in there for about 2.5 hours, and it happened during that. So I think it was about 2 hours in. The night goes by. Portland does not make any more moves. And you get to the morning, and it's about 11 to 12 o'clock, and you get the Haynes bomb, and it's Damian Lillard has officially last night. He said this morning, but I saw a report too from Woj that was like they spoke last night after
last night.
Yeah, that
pretty sure Joe was just asleep.
Yep, probably. That picture of him going on that run, and he's like, "I'm not trading Dame." But yeah, the morning comes. It's around noon, and you get the tweet. We get the notification. Twitter is down, so nobody actually is talking about it.
Rate limit exceeded.
The rate limit exceeded day. Everyone's flocking to like NBA Instagram to see what people think, which is
bottom of the barrel.
The bottom of the barrel. NBA Reddit.
It was just terrible, man. And I'm not mad at Dame.
Yeah, I don't think anyone. I'm gonna speak on it in a little bit, which I don't know if you're gonna like my complete position.
I'm a little bit upset at Dame. I am too. Just a little bit.
I'm more upset with this camp because I do think that it's just overblown of what they want. And
it is.
Realistically, there's a middle ground that they've met at. It's just warfare on both sides.
Oh yeah, and the Trailblazers are playing in Summer League this weekend. He's going to pull up to one of the Trailblazers are playing Miami. I'm pretty sure this weekend.
He's definitely showed up.
He's definitely going to show up. He's going to show up with 2 or 3 of his friends and his agent. He's going to sit in like a neutral side of the court. And he's going to dab up Scoot and Anthony, but then he's going to go over and Jimmy's going to be there and Bam.
Yeah, Bam's going to be there.
Yeah, it's going to be stupid.
Yeah, he'll probably show up with Macau.
So I want to get your opinion then on this. So my thought process with this Damian Lillard stuff is this. If he is made it clear, as we've seen, there's a new update every 30 minutes. Every time you open up Twitter, there's a new notification about it. Miami is the only place he wants to go. He doesn't care what the package is, from what it seems like. It's just Bam and Jimmy need to be there, and he will play there. How do you feel about that? I know that I've gotten briefly what you've experienced, but I want to know how you feel about it, because I have feelings about this that I've heard spoken on in a way that I agree with. So I want to get your thoughts first before I go.
It's really hard because none of this has come from Damian at all. Like, it's just like, It's all through mouthpieces. And even with the Blazers, it's through mouthpieces. So you can't really,
the Blazers want to keep too much pressure going.
Yeah. And I think also a lot of this is the lead up, the way Joe Cronin spoke in a lot of his press conferences. He spoke very passive aggressively and he made a lot of promises. Yeah. And he kind of set Dame up to be the bad guy. And this is why I'm so pissed off at the front office, because they set Damian Lillard up and basically their whole intention had to have been to rebuild this whole time. There's no way.
Yeah, I think it was pretty clear, honestly. Yeah. I mean, it was very clear once you got the reports the couple days before the draft, they're not moving 3. They don't have any interest in moving 3 anymore.
Yeah.
Because the teams that wanted 3 didn't. I mean, unless you. The problem is the Pelicans wanted 3 reportedly.
Pascal.
Raptors,
If the
Jeremy,
Timberwolves were interested, but
Nurk,
I would be.
Dame, that's a great.
I would be worried about it though, because if you're trying to contend by trading 3, and you're taking on, it would be Cat that's going to get traded. I know.
Yeah. It would have.
But I think you can run into trouble. So I think
they made the right. Would there be any way you would have like as a fan accepted a trade without 3 for Cat? It was just Anthony and maybe some other young talent. 23 and
Anthony and 23.
Maybe it'd be like a 3-team trade. Probably we'd have to free up our picks, but
yeah, I actually would give that some thought. I think
that would be a nasty backcourt. Both ants.
Oh my god, yeah.
That would be that. I think.
Sign me up.
I think especially if you're getting draft capital there, I don't think the Wolves really want to trade Cat anymore. I think it was rumored to see his value because they traded all those picks last offseason. But I don't think they really want to. I think they're going to try it again. But
yeah, Cat's not getting traded. Every single report that has said that he might get traded has come from people who are outside the Wolves, who don't have. Yeah, it's a lot of nothing.
Yeah, I think there might have been some deals from some contenders. I don't know if you would have been able to get picks out of it.
Probably not.
But I think you could have moved Anthony for someone else.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I don't know how the Bucks would do it, but I think the Bucks might have considered. I would consider Anthony.
I was really praying for an Anthony. I was thinking Chris
and Brooke.
Chris, you got to move because
the problem with trading Brooke. The problem with trading Book for Milwaukee is the same reason they paid him $24 million. There's no replacement on the roster or available.
No. Yeah, you basically just have to be like sacrifice. But then if you're trading for Anthony, anyways, like you have to sacrifice that small forward or the size.
I think I'm not sure. I think the Bucks didn't want to move Chris or Brooke. I think they were also interested in Beal, and I think it would have been Drew.
Oh, I think the Beal would have been the better move. Makes more sense.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah,
I think they would have wanted to trade Drew. I think there's been too much indication that Chris is like a pivotal part of the franchise.
Yeah, I think with the Bucks, a little bit of a side thing because we can get back to Dame, but I think the Bucks they've been looking for just something new to kind of mix things up a little bit.
Yeah,
some jolt of athleticism, young talent, scoring. I just think they've been looking for something.
I think it's coming. We have 5 shooting guards on our roster currently. They're gonna trade 2 of them.
Yeah.
The 5 shooting guards are
new coach.
Yeah, new coach. The 5 shooting guards are Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton, Marjan, AJ Green.
Marjan can play multiple. Is he?
He's gonna play 2 or 3. He might play.
Yeah,
2. He's listed as a shooting guard.
He's
like 6'7", I think.
He's big.
Yeah.
So it's AJ Green, which he was a 2-way guy for us last year, which I think he's gonna actually play. He's a shooter. He shot like 43%. If you like adjust his shooting volume based on like how much he played in the regular season, it's like 43%. If you've upped his volume to like 36 per 36 numbers. Yeah. So Malik Beasley, we just signed for a vet min. We just
I missed that.
Last night.
Yeah,
Malik Beasley.
That's a great pickup.
That's a really good pickup.
I know how Malik Beasley is, but I mean he's a flamethrower if he gets going. So like in 2021, we had Bryn Forbes on the roster. He caught fire in one of the series and he won. And that's all. Yep. That's all it takes. But I think the Bucks will be trading. They don't have a backup point guard right now. So one of the ones that'll come on the trade market, Orlando, I think will move one of theirs. They just drafted Anthony Black 6 overall. He's pretty much does what Markelle does. I like Markelle.
He's in the Milwaukee. I'd like.
Yeah, I would too. I would love it. I mean, he's not a jump shooter, but his playmaking, defensive instincts, and slashing is next level.
Yeah,
I would like that.
But yeah, we won't get too distracted by the Bucks. I could talk about them forever. But yeah. So Dame, I mean, so what I was gonna say is, I think it's very clear that a lot of Blazers fans want to do right by Dame, and they want to trade him to Miami, which I don't really think they have a choice, anyways.
It's all about the 13.
In my opinion, I think people are getting too carried away with the thought of trading Dame for the package. The package has to be right. Unfortunately, like, this isn't a no trade clause situation where
not at all.
He has to approve the package before it goes. He chose Miami, and at the end of the day, Miami doesn't have a lot of draft capital, and they don't have a ton of young players that they can afford to lose because they just drafted Jaime. They have Jovic, which they don't have a backup big right now. They need Jovic to play the backup 5 or /4. And
they can have Jusuf Nurkic.
Yep, exactly. Well, honestly, in my opinion, I literally think that Nurkic is going to get traded with Dame because he's like his
100%.
I think Portland I think they want to dump Nurkic pretty bad.
Yeah.
Even though I hate that because Nurkic is a great center to develop guards around.
Oh yeah, he's passes and
the best way to develop.
Do they have a center on their roster that could play for him?
We have 0 centers not on 2-way contracts right now.
Who's that one big guy? Is that John Butler? Is that his name?
2-way contract, yeah, but we have him 2-way contract. Trent Watford was our only big, not on a 2-way contract.
I'm looking at their cap sheet right now.
And they lost.
Jeremy, if Jusuf gets traded,
Drew, I can't believe I'm mad at losing Drew Eubanks, dude. Not.
I like Eubanks.
I liked him, but like
Jeremy Grant will be the only guaranteed guy that's listed as a power forward.
Yep,
that's rough.
The only other guys that are dead cap are Andrew Nicholson and Greg Brown III, which they aren't even on, and the 2-way contracts aren't guaranteed, aren't listed on here because they're not cap holds.
It's John Butler and I can't remember his first name, but it's Ibaji.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think the Dame trades isn't going to happen for a few weeks.
I think it waits till how do you pronounce his name? Jaime Jr. Jaime.
Jaime. Yeah.
I think it's wait till he's tradable in a month. I think it happens when he's.
They're going to have to. They're going to have to.
You have to include either him. If no third team is going to take on Hero,
I think the Spurs. I think San Antonio or Brooklyn would be willing to. Problem is, if you're trading with them, I'm gonna look at their sheet. I'm gonna look at their rosters really quick. But I think if you're doing that, you need a big back. Ben, I guess he's 6'10".
Defensively, I guess now he's a big.
I would take the gamble on it.
I would 100%. Right now, we're in the position you take the gamble. You take the young guy.
You take on the contract. I think the Heat will be giving up the 2 tradable firsts, and they might give up a swap. I think San Antonio might be willing. I don't know how many picks they have, but they might be willing to throw in a pick for Hero.
San Antonio, they still have a lot of the Atlanta picks.
Yeah,
and
I think
they have Atlanta's picks.
Yeah. I also think there's a chance we reroute Keon or Nasir Little in these trades as well to the third team to make value.
I would take Keon Johnson in Milwaukee,
like a Keon and picks to San Antonio with Hero, or like a Nasir picks or something.
I'm gonna pull up.
And you guys, I saw some today that intrigued me a bit. Pat Riley holds the record for the biggest trade.
Yeah,
5 teams.
Yep.
Pat Riley, if he's gonna get Damian Lillard, we might see 5 destinations here.
So
we might see Keon in Milwaukee and then Nasir Little in Brooklyn.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think most
Tyler
teams,
Hero in San Antonio.
I think we're about to hit a really dead spot of transactions right now because I think a lot of teams are just going to be waiting until that trade goes through.
Yeah, and
to see if they can get involved because I think a team like Milwaukee, a team like Boston, who just got a bunch of picks for moving players out. I think a team like the Sixers, if Harden comes back, they need to get more role players.
Yeah. If you're trying to collect assets or dump old assets, I mean, a really good way to do that is to try to get involved in these multi-team deals, and I think that's what teams are going to do.
Yeah,
honestly,
and I feel like there's this weird. I want to say pressure, but I've heard a lot of people, even Joe Cronin and Chauncey Billups, the way they talk about Anthony Simons on the team, playing the 2 in general, and even Shane Sharp playing the 3.
Yeah,
I get the impression that they don't think Shane Sharp can play the 3, and they
I
don't
think you
think
could
Anthony
if you're
Simons can play the 2.
I think the problem is if you are doing that, I think Shaedon's way too raw for him to switch positions in the NBA right now.
No, I think right now we should start Scoot 1, Ant 2, Shaedon 3. But I have the way
have Shaedon come off the bench, man, and just have him run. You're a fun team. Who cares?
Exactly.
You're not going to have any expectations. You're probably going to be a bottom 3 to 4 team in the NBA next year.
No, I think exactly.
So this is what I pulled up the San Antonio roster right now of people that they either signed or are cap holds that they could move in a sign and trade potentially for like a minimum or something like that. So they have a lot of centers on the roster actually. So they have Charles Bassey. It's a 3-year contract right now. He's 6'11", so he could actually play the 5. Sandro Mamu,
yes,
from the Bucks.
Milwaukee.
He's kind of good.
He's kind of good. Yeah, he can move the ball a little bit. He can move the ball a little bit. He can handle the ball. He can bring up the court. He's 6'11". He was on the Bucks for like 2 years. I didn't even know he was 6'11". I thought he was like 6'8".
He plays a lot smaller than he is.
Oh yeah, he's like a Jovic Sengun type, where it's like perimeter ball handling type.
Yeah.
Gorgie Dang is a cap hold for them right now, which you could he's 33, but you could throw him out there as a vet guy if he needs a job. But I don't even know what the free agent pool is looking like right now for.
I think it's like PJ Washington's left. Did Miles Bridges ever? Did anyone pick
Christian Wood?
Christian Wood. I think those are like the top 3.
That's gross.
Matisse Thybulle got offer sheet got accepted.
Yeah, got matched.
Also, an overpay. Why is Matisse Thybulle on the team?
$11 million annually is kind of nasty for Matisse Thybulle. For one of the worst shooters at their position in the NBA, like
And no, in the NBA, not their position, in the NBA. Yeah. He is a bottom 5 to 10 overall shooter in the NBA.
I saw a stat. He's in the 99th percentile for openness, and he shoots 34% on corner threes.
He's not a shooter at all. And he has so many deficiencies other than his defense. And even in his defense,
his defense is kind of unconventional. It's
unconventional, so you need a rim protecting big because he funnels people to the rim.
Yeah, he funnels really well and he gets in passing lanes really well, but that also allows backdoor cuts a lot because if you're jumping
we have no rim protectors. Even when we traded for him, we had no rim protectors. It makes no sense.
I wonder
our scheme.
I wonder if there's. I would assume that after the Dame trade, if they don't get a 5 back, they're gonna pick up some undrafted or G League guy just to play because you don't have a 5. Jeremy Grant's only 6'9". Is he gonna play Is he gonna start the 5?
You need a 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he played small ball 5 for 5 minutes in the first part of the season.
It was probably horrible, and he probably was that's probably why they were the worst defense of all time.
That's why Drew Eubanks and Trent Wofford got a bunch of burn at 5.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we went through most of the offseason stuff, transactions, trade market. Running up on an hour here. Went fast. I don't know. Do you guys got any other stuff that you want to bring up? Any rumors? I'm going to run through my notifications quick, see if anything big went through.
There is a Dame team that I do want to mention at least, and that's Utah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Utah, they have all the picks in the world. They've got a buttload of Wolves picks, a buttload of Cavs picks.
Yeah. They have all of their picks.
They've got all the picks. They've got young players. I think
and they have Collins' contract now.
I think that Utah could make a pretty decent run at Dame.
Oh, I agree. And another thing about
Dame, stop talking on Twitter, bro.
No.
He said, I'm amazed. Period. Somebody's in 750 the game. I don't know if it's a Portland sports radio. He said why, and he says, and how people could know so much and so little at the same time.
He's talking about all the people speaking for him. I'm basically saying all that shit.
Someone said, then clear everything up. I think it's he could say, the problem is though, when you're requesting a trade that clearly.
Yeah. If you clear it up, you lose leverage. And
if he says, actually, no, Miami's not the only team I want to go to.
Yeah. I'd play for 10 different teams.
I'd play for Milwaukee. I'd play for the Utah. I played for the Pelicans. Miami's the second team. I just really like Bam.
No, you can't do that.
No,
you got to stick with it. Sadly, once you say you have to stick with it, and that's why I'm not really mad at Dame. It's just the business is pissing me off with this. But back to Utah. Dame went 4 years in college to Utah. I like them.
Yeah.
He's spoken multiple times about if he were to play for another team, Utah is on that list. So I would be shocked if he wouldn't be open to playing with Lauri Markkanen in a competent roster.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a nice roster. I mean, you'd have.
But is that team good enough to be top 6?
No.
Be top 6? Yes. Top 6,
yes. Maybe.
Really?
I don't know. The West is really competitive. I don't know.
Lauri Markkanen would be the best player Damian Lillard has ever played with, probably. In his prime version. LaMarcus Aldridge, obviously, but he was still baby Dame.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That doesn't count.
CJ.
Dame. Yeah, Dame, Kessler.
Yeah, a high-level rim protector with Dame.
That'd be pretty good.
You could play.
They would obviously have to round it up, but they have.
You could play a massive lineup
to get vets.
No, they could play a really fun, massive lineup.
Collins at 3.
It would be. They could play Dame
at
the 1. They could play Ochai Agbaji at the 2. They could play Lauri at the 3. Collins at the 4, and they could play Walker Kessler at the 5. They'd have 4 shooters and Walker Kessler. And the entire defense would be able to switch. They would just be massive.
Yeah, they would be massive. But the only thing is probably Collins would have to be dealt in that. Contract-wise. Because John Collins. Because they
have cap space. They don't have to take switch his whole contract. They're not a tax team.
Oh, true.
Let me look at it.
They probably don't have a full roster.
No, they don't have a full roster. They didn't.
Who did they draft? Oh, who's the big they drafted?
They drafted Taylor Hendricks, Keontae George, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, they did.
They could go. He's another versatile. Even if they let go of Collins.
Let's run it through here really quick, and then we'll wrap it up in a little second here. Let's just run a trade through. I wonder.
Another thing about the Spurs. Oh, go ahead.
You go. You talked about the Spurs.
About the Spurs. Bring Zach Collins back.
Yeah, that'd be a good move. I
think.
So their current cap space, they have $10 million. Dame's contract is 45, so they'd have to make up 35 million in contract. They could get that done with Kelly Olynyk, who's on a 1-year deal expiring. I think you could. I really think it could get done
without Collins.
Yeah, Kelly Olynyk and problem is that bench looks gross.
Olynyk.
Well, they have the picks. They have enough picks to trade for Dame and then still line out that roster.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. If they wanted to compete next year, they easily could. Colin Sexton and Kelly Olynyk probably, and Taylor Horton-Tucker.
That would work. Yep.
Which is a gross package, but
it's all the picks. That's all the picks.
The problem is the thing is though the reason that the Trailblazers are looking for young players in this Miami deal is because there's no picks to be given.
Exactly.
If Miami had 8 first-round picks to throw them, 4 picks, 4 pick swaps, and salary filler, and maybe one young guy that hasn't worked out for the Heat that they can take a flyer on, awesome. But they don't. They don't have that.
The number one thing about Miami is that they're never bad. They're never bad. So their picks, I look at a Miami pick, and I'm like, okay, you show me a Suns pick
in 2030.
Oh, like that Grizzlies deal. I was like, that's amazing. That's
Suns picks in like 27, 28, 29. Those are really valuable.
Yeah, because the Suns franchise have a history of being very up and down. Miami's never been bad. The last line pick was Justice Winslow, and they missed, but they were right back there.
Yeah. And also Phoenix's financial situation is about to kind of explode in like 2 years. So, I mean,
now they were over the second apron before free agency started.
Already?
They were like $2 million under.
That's insane. Yeah. Oh my god.
Because
they did a good job with the small contracts.
It's 50. Yeah. Oh yeah. They did. Yeah. They were a winner in my eyes. They got decent role players for all minimums, that's crazy.
Yeah.
They got, because KD and Booker are both making 40 something. That's like 90 million. Beal is making 52. That's like 140.
Yep. And you've got Ayton on there.
Ayton's making like 30 something, which is like 170 something. Plus they had like 1 or 2 more guys on really small contracts. That's like 180 something million. I think the second apron's like 178 or 172, something like that.
not looking good in a couple of years. I think
the first tax is 160. I think the second apron is 180 something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think about with Utah though, like what is stopping them from just being like here are 3.
They have 18 tradable picks right now.
3 minute picks. And how about like
next year
4 Utah picks? They could get like
next year they could give Portland. They could give Portland 3 first-round picks in 2025 and 2 first-round picks in 2026. That'd be 5 firsts. 3 of them would not even be the team. Theirs. Only 2 of them would be their team. Yeah. They could also give them a 2027 if they really wanted to via Cleveland. They have the Lakers 2027. They have the Minnesota 2027. They have Cleveland 2028. Then they have their own in 2028, 2029, 2029 Cleveland, and Minnesota. And they have seconds.
Yeah. I think they're waiting for someone that also fits Laurie's and their sort of youth movement timeline because I think they're going to plan on drafting a bit, getting some guys in B-Bad.
I wouldn't be surprised. I really think that Utah would be a throw.
I think they make a deal in like 2 years.
A better team. A rant. You know what? I don't even care. Let's keep going here. We're getting good thoughts off.
Yeah.
Another team that I would love Dame on that has a ton of assets and also players that are they have bench players that are expendable and they'd still be able to field a good roster is New Orleans.
Oh, okay. Bring CJ back.
That would be funny. It'd literally be CJ. CJ would be the cap filler. I'm gonna pull up their roster here.
I don't think you'd want to do that.
No, I don't think they would either.
Unless we fired Joe.
If they did that, what they could do here,
which I would be a fan of.
The problem is the cap space. I think CJ would have to get. CJ would be the easiest way to do it because he's $35 million, and then you would just throw in
might have to add a 3-team again, but
because you could throw in they want to move Kira Lewis off, and they can move Kira Lewis and 2 other dudes to another team.
Trey Murphy.
I think they want Trey Murphy.
If they want Damian Lillard, give me Trey Murphy.
Would you rather have? Trey Murphy's very good.
He is very good.
Oh, I know. That's why I want
him. EJ Liddell, they could move. I think they just signed him to a contract.
Didn't he get hurt?
Yeah, he tore his ACL last year, but he just signed he just signed his actual contract. They signed him a 2-way contract, so he wouldn't be a cap hold last year.
And he could recover or whatever.
Yeah, so he could recover without being on the team, but without having to for the travel restrictions and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a fun team if they could get Dame. I mean, it'd be Dame at the 1, at the 2. You could throw. They just drafted Jordan Hawkins. Who's a crazy shooter.
I love Jordan Hawkins on that team.
I bet they would move him.
I bet they would move him.
They just re-signed Herb Jones, so I think they would be willing.
They have a lot of good talent there.
Yeah, they still have 14 tradable picks.
Yeah,
they have the Lakers. They have next year. They have their pick, the Lakers pick. They swap with us. They have 2025 Milwaukee, 2026 Milwaukee, 2027 Milwaukee. Yeah, it's not. They have all of our picks.
Yeah.
For Drew.
I don't care. We won a championship. Who cares?
Yeah, it was worth it.
Plus, most of them are swaps anyways. We only don't have our pick 3 years. It was we only had to give up 3 firsts if we gave up 4 swaps or something like that, I think. I don't remember what the actual package was. It was 3 years ago now, but yeah, I don't know. I think the Dame saga will be on for a little while.
100%. Yeah, we got another month or 2. It might even go to training camp. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, and they'll just excuse him. They're not going to fine him or anything.
No.
All right. Well, you guys got anything else we want to talk about in regards to the off-season NBA news? Oh, really quick. They did say that they are announcing the in-season tournament stuff on Saturday, which I'm excited for.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. They've got players who are going to be there to help announce it, like Anthony Edwards, I think Paulo Banchero.
Getting the young guys involved in this stuff is very key because they need to buy into it. I think the older players won't really care that much, but the young guys need to care about this stuff. I've seen this. One of my favorite or most watched sports guys online is Theo Ash NFL. I don't know if you guys know who that is.
Yeah, Stay Hot podcast.
Yeah, shout them. he's not a big NBA guy, but he does follow it. And he said you can very clearly see the path to the NBA trying to become a FIFA-like organization. And I think
100%.
I think it's 100% true. I think they're going to try to put money into the European leagues and have them as feeder leagues.
Yeah, because they already started broadcasting on the NBA app. They also have NBA academies in all continents.
In Europe, Europe,
Canada,
Africa,
Mexico, even
Africa. They have NBA Africa.
Aren't they starting to they were thinking about doing games in Mexico City, or did they already do that?
Yeah, they have like G League games there, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They had a regular.
They want to go worldwide, and I think the in-season tournament is great for that.
It's way easier to play basketball overseas because you can go there and you can play 3 or 4 games in a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like if you want to do like sort of how the NFL does with NFL Europe right now, they play there's 3 or 4 weeks worth of games in London. There's a game in Germany, and there's also a game in Mexico City, which is it's hard though because they have to bring the whole team over and they can only play 1 game a week. But I think if you do something like that in the NFL or in the NBA, you could go over there. It's like we're staying here for 2 weeks, so you can play 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, you play in Paris. 100%. You have to go to France. They're like
didn't they play a game in Paris? It was Bulls and Nets.
Yeah,
Bulls and Nets.
I think the in-season tournament should be on a national neutral ground.
It's in Vegas.
I think it's in Vegas, but I think it should be.
The end is in Vegas. The end is in Vegas.
Yeah, the rest of the games are just like regular season.
Yeah, because it's like implemented into the regular season.
Well, we'll find out. Watch the WNBA. The Commissioner's Cup is very similar. Very similar. Yeah, it's like you get pool point. The pool play is only in the regular season, and then you figure out the Final Four from the pool play. Also, if you guys are familiar with golf, it's kind of like the FedEx Cup.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we can try to wrap up here for the 3rd time, but we keep just having stuff pop up, but who cares? We got the conversation going. Might as well keep going. Awesome. Well, I think that's all we got to go over today. We'll probably no official time for the next episode, probably sometime next week again. Late next week. And we'll be probably recapping any moves then. We might do some team previews, maybe go through some divisions, go through their moves and different stuff that we're looking forward to for them. So with all of that, I think we can wrap it up here. Appreciate anybody that came to watch the first episode. Hopefully the first of many in a great series that is going to be going on here. So, and peace out, everybody.